Sure. You said earlier that after an investigation you had reasonable suspicion that Aaron Banks was not the true source of the £8 million, and you referred it to the NCA. Is that right? But then you told Mr Lucas you couldn't discuss your investigation into that particular issue. So can I ask you about another source of money that appeared in the EU referendum campaign? And that would be the money from the Constitutional Research Council, which is an unincorporated organisation based in Scotland who gave £435,000 to the DUP, which the DUP has admitted that they spent £425,000 of that on the referendum campaign. Did you investigate why an unincorporated body in Scotland gave the DUP almost £500,000 that was then spent on the referendum campaign, particularly in advertising in a newspaper in London?
Can I just start this answer by just explaining some of the context that we come to this in? And it's context that we don't really want to be in. We think it's deeply regrettable, but the issues around the lack of transparency about donations in Northern Ireland, which mean that any donations made before 2017, we are restricted by law what we can say. But I think we can probably answer some of that, but I'm just going to ask Louise to do it. But I just want to make it very clear that we are as frustrated as everyone else by the parliamentary decision not to take this back to 2014, which was an option and would have allowed us to be much more open and transparent about this.
So what I can say is that the Democratic Unionist Party, as a registered party in Northern Ireland, needed to continue to supply quarterly donation reports to us throughout the referendum period, which it did. We are under a duty to verify the contents of donation reports for Northern Ireland parties, and that's a duty we take very seriously, and we do it. If we discover that a donation in one of those reports is in fact impermissible, then the restrictions that Claire mentions are lifted, and we can then talk about that donation. We can't talk about donations to the DUP from that period, and the reason for that is because, having verified those reports, the donors on them were permissible. Okay.
I'm going to plough on with this, and I understand that I will be frustrated by your answers, but I want to plough on anyway. Did you, as the Electoral Commission, do everything you could to check that the money from the Constitutional Research Council that went to the DUP wasn't of foreign origin and that it was permissible in UK law?
Yeah, we were satisfied that the donors were permissible.
And have you been told or given an explanation as to where the money came from?
I'm afraid we're not able to discuss it any further.
Okay. Were you given an explanation of where the money came from? Even if you can't share where the money came from with me, can you tell me where you given an explanation as to where it came from?
We have an overall requirement to look at the returns and to satisfy ourselves that those returns are accurate, and we are satisfied that the donors were permissible.
Can I ask who gave you that information?
A range of sources were used to verify that information.
And when did you receive that explanation?
I'm afraid we're reaching the point again where I'm not able to answer that question.
Okay. Did you accept at face value the explanation you were given?
I think we have so to go back to the big picture, we have a requirement to challenge and look at those returns. It's not to just accept returns at face value. We don't do that, and as I said, we're satisfied in this case that we've done our duty correctly and that they are permissible donors.
Was the person who made this donation known to you?
Don't think we can answer that.
So somebody is permitted by UK law only in Northern Ireland to give money to a political campaign and to have it remain secret.
Yes.
From you and from...
No, it's not secret.
Sorry. It's secret from Parliament and, yeah, and the country.
And yes, and that was a decision taken by Parliament, and there was an opportunity, this year when the rules changing it from 2017 onwards were made, there was an opportunity to take that back to 2014 that wasn't taken. So, you know, this is an explicit decision by Parliament to do exactly what you just said, and it's as frustrating to us as it is to you.
Who would be able to tell us exactly the source of the money that went from the Constitutional Research Council to the DUP?
Well, under law we can't, as we've just explained. I guess that leaves the people who might be involved making a decision to put it into the public domain.
So the only people who can inform Parliament and MPs and the public of the source of this £435,000 would be the Constitutional Research Council?
Unless Parliament decided to enact the rule which could take it back to 2014, and then we could.
Or potentially the courts.
Or the DUP satisfy themselves that it was permissible.
Yeah.
The BBC's Northern Ireland Spotlight team did a documentary on this issue, as you know, and they revealed the relationship between the Constitutional Research Council, the DUP and Vote Leave. Are you still satisfied that there was no common plan between the Constitutional Research Council, the DUP and Vote Leave?
Well, I'm not able to comment on the Constitutional Research Council, I'm afraid, but what we did look at that programme was whether there was evidence of a common plan between Vote Leave and the DUP, and we asked the BBC for the evidence underlying its programme, and we looked and saw what we had evidence for or against that as well, and we took the view that there was insufficient evidence to conduct an investigation into that.
So you don't think there was any common plan between the Constitutional Research Council giving the DUP £435,000 and then the Constitutional Research Council booking an advert for £280,000 in the Metro on behalf of Vote Leave? There's no common plan there, or nothing that warrants an investigation?
I don't think there's a way for me to answer that question that doesn't put me in breach of the law, I'm afraid.
This is almost an intolerable situation, that we are trying to get to the truth and we are obstructed by getting truth. Now, I'm not blaming you, I'm most certainly not blaming you personally, but this is an intolerable situation where we are trying to get to the truth of something.
We have raised this repeatedly, and at every opportunity do, and have pressed government to make the changes. But
have you investigated the Constitutional Research Council at all out with this particular passing on of money?
I'm afraid, frustratingly, I have to give the same answer, which is that I can't answer that question without breaking the law.
Okay, and on that frustrating note, thank you, Chair.
Thank you.